Chapter 1. Zach checked his watch. The street lights through the tinted window of the limo cast the Rolex in a bronze aura, and he sniffed and tugged at his black suit. Aram was late again. He should have phoned in by now, but there was no sign. Reluctantly, he had to admit that his younger brother hadn't inherited the same business sense. Aram had always been a bit uncontrollable, a wild card when it came to matters of family and company. "We'll take the underground passage, Charles," Zach said stiffly, as the reliable butler held up his hand and made a left. Zach crossed his legs and hit a small gold button on the armrest. And moments later, a whirring sound emanated from the fold-out chair across from him. A champagne set with 2 glasses appeared, inlaid in velvet, and he reached for a brandy bottle that read AB on the side. When he uncorked the stopper, the iron tang of blood lifted to his nostrils. Vintage, he thought respectfully. It was Aram who most often used the limo, usually to go to raves and parties and the like. But Zach had to admire his brother's choice in blood. He poured the ichor liquid into one of the cups and swirled it before quaffing it back. Yes, the effect of the blood was almost instantaneous, and he felt a new energy coursing through his body. The small fangs on his upper jaw grew out slowly, like little white stalactites, and he licked his lips. Truly a vintage. He could already feel his powers reasserting, and held the glass up. The only way to catch a vampire's reflection was through blood, and he saw now that he looked as impeccable as ever. His smoothed down black hair glinted, and his eyes churned like a roiling red sea. Like the others of his kind, his skin was pale, almost translucent. His cell phone vibrated, and he held it up to his ear. "You're late," he said snidely. "What took you so long? I thought the deal was supposed to be a no-brainer. Did you get the contract signed?" Over the line, Aram's voice was huskier, almost shy, as he whispered, and it lacked Zach's preternatural Victorian glide. "It's done. There were complications," he said. Zach wasn't surprised. Every 100 years a new ruler was appointed, a baron of one of the 7 great houses, to become the magistrate over the others. It always involved arguments and occasionally assassination. "For the time being, you're not going to like this," he warned. "Just tell me," Zach said impatiently. "They've selected their diplomat, but she's already had 1 attempt on her life. The other houses aren't taking responsibility for it, of course, but they've assigned our house to protect her, until the ceremony is over at least." Zach didn't like the news. For centuries, the tenuous peace between the other houses and the human world had been kept in check, more out of necessity than out of aesthetic. In the past, Zach knew the old laws would have prevailed, survival of the fittest. However, in the modern era, a truce had been reached, and it was a truce that was administered for 2 reasons. Firstly, to keep the existence of vampires a secret, and secondly, to deal with other vampires who broke that truce. It had given birth to a human organization, facilitated by vampires, and headed by a select elite. But during the concession, when a new vampire was to be chosen, one of these elite became the diplomat, and oversaw the transition from one magistrate to another.